tried to hand out your Valentines at NWTC, the school that you go to?
So I'm actually a graduate now of Northeast Wisconsin Technical College. And so this is going to get a little personal. I'll probably cry a little bit because it's part of my heart. It's part of my story. I started handing out Valentines on campus when I started in 2009. And just going part-time because you have to pay bills and live life on top of school. And in 2014 was the first time that I encountered campus security and was stopped for handing out my Valentines. Now, that year ended up being one of the worst years of my life. My dad had lost his job at the beginning of 2012, and my mom was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And then by the end of 2012, 2013, my brother was in a car accident and broke his neck and is now paralyzed from the chest down and in a wheelchair. But to top off that, 2013, my mom actually passed away from complications from pancreatic cancer. And so 2014 was the first time that I would be handing out Valentines without her. And so to have my school tell me that I can't live out a tradition that my mom had started about caring for others crushed me. On top of all of the personal trials of losing my mom, having my brother now in a wheelchair that I used to play tennis with, and my dad unable to find a job and support the family, where we're all trying hard to just survive, to have a school that I thought I had support from attack me for my faith really crushed me. But I wasn't going to give up my rights. So the campus security confronted me and a couple friends that were handing them out to fellow students and faculty, and said that I was soliciting and that I wasn't allowed to hand them out anymore. And I told them, well, it's our constitutional right, and it's kind of the whole point of a Christian club that I started on the campus. And finally he was like, well, it's our policy, I have to enforce it. And as soon as I left campus that day, 2014, I got a call from my Christian club's advisor saying that there was disruptive students on campus and what was going on. So the story had already changed within a matter of minutes from soliciting to disruptive students. From there, it changed to I had made people feel uncomfortable, and I actually was never confronted by the campus beyond the security guard about being the one handing out the Valentines and being this disruptive student on campus. I went to a meeting that I had found out about that was confronting my club, who had nothing to do with it. And I went in there with my constitution and the different laws that I had found. At this point, I wasn't a paralegal student. I had done all my own research, found at least 3 different laws that the school had violated in stopping me from handing out these Valentines. And so I went into the meeting. I had written up an account of what happened. I gave it to all of the people who were there, and I said, this is the story. I have witnesses. You cannot change what's happened. And these are the laws that have been violated. What do we do next? And they actually went so far as to throw their supervisor under the bus, saying he didn't really know what he was doing, but yet they're still enforcing the policy. And I was asked to actually apologize, write a written apology for handing out Jesus' name. And thinking back to that, that's probably the driving force of why I pushed so hard to have this resolved in court, because I will never apologize for Jesus' name. And he says that if man denies me before man, I will deny him before my Father. And I like the idea of eternity in heaven rather than hell. And I will not deny him no matter what the circumstances are. And I think I've gotten through quite a bit. I won't deny him because he's been there through all of that. And so that was the first time. It ended with me in a meeting with 3 faculty members, and I handed them, at that point, I had talked to American Center of Law and Justice and gotten the actual laws that they had broken. And in doing some research with different people on campus, they actually ended up removing my nomination for Outstanding Leadership Award for one of my clubs. And that's when I reached out outside of the school, because I had already done meetings with their diversity advisor. I had already filed a discrimination report. Nothing was being done, and it was being tossed around in this little circle of people. The person who I was supposed to write this apology for didn't even know about what happened. And so when I went into that meeting, I handed them the laws, and one of the ones that was sent to me said, school officials cannot accuse a student of soliciting when handing out religious content. And I'm like, this is exactly what you did on this campus. And they looked at it, and they looked back at me, and they laughed in my face and said it would never stand up in court. And then they were like, well, we see that you're not taking a class at the moment. And I told them, well, according to your policies, a student is anyone with an ongoing relationship with this campus. I am now changing my degree to paralegal. And so I have an ongoing relationship with this campus, and therefore I am a student at this point. And as soon as they found out all of the family trauma that had happened to me that year, they're like, how can we make this better? And I said, well, implement these laws, this Constitution, into your policies so that you don't end up in court. Because I don't want this to end up in court. That's why I'm having this meeting with you. And they're like, great idea. We will look into implementing them. And I asked, can I still hand out my Valentines? So they're like, oh, yes, you can hand out your Valentines. So that was the end of 2014. It was the worst 2.5 years of my life, I would have to say, because of how the school treated me.
Well, that is a lot.
Yeah,
That is
what a lot to go through.
And that's not even talking about 2018.